Okay, so dear students, welcome to the lecture series on electromagnetic waves. So today we'll start with module number 2, lecture number 12. Okay, so the contents covered in previous lectures were the concepts of electric flux density, problems on electric flux, and then we have discussed a few additional problems on Coulomb's law and electric field. So in today's lecture, we will discuss about Gauss's law, problems on Gauss's law, next application of Gauss's law, and then we'll try to discuss about problems on application of Gauss's law. So let us begin with module 2, that is Gauss's law and its application to a symmetrical charge distribution. So first let us see what is Gauss's law. So we know that from Faraday's experiment, we observed that Q coulomb of charge produces a flux psi equal to Q coulombs. Okay, so this is what we have seen, that the Q coulomb of charge produces a flux of Q coulombs. The unit of the flux is coulomb. So if you have 10 coulomb of charge, it produces 10 coulombs of flux lines. Okay, one flux line for each coulomb. Okay, so if you remember, in the last class we discussed about Faraday's experiment, and in that experiment we took two concentric spheres, and in between the concentric sphere was filled with the dielectric material, and for the inner sphere the Q amount of charge was given, and we observed that the minus Q amount of charge was induced on the outer surface of, on the outer surface of the outer conductor, on the surface of the outer conductor. And this minus Q induced charge was really independent of the dielectric material used. Okay. Now Faraday thought that there might be some kind of a flux, okay, a kind of lines, okay, which are really independent of the medium, is emerging from this sphere and terminating on this sphere, and he called those lines as the electric flux lines. Okay, yes. Now in this experiment you can replace this inner sphere with some kind of a cube. Okay, you can place one cube like this and say if you give a Q amount of a charge on this cube, and even this a charge on a cube is also produces Q amount of a flux. Okay, and if you try to measure the negative charge induced on the outer sphere, it will be still same as minus Q. Okay, the only difference between these two experiments is here the flux lines are symmetrically distributed. I repeat, the flux lines are symmetrically distributed, and hence you will find that the flux density is same on the every per unit area of this sphere, outer sphere. Okay, whereas in this case you have taken some different object, that is a cube, a cubic conductor. Okay, now you will observe that the number of flux lines will be same, but the only difference is that the flux lines will not be now uniformly distributed, and the flux density will not be the same on every per unit area on this outer surface. Only that's the difference. Okay, yeah. So next what I can say is, so now we can really generalize the Faraday's experiment leads to a Gauss's law. Okay, now what Gauss's law says that the electric flux passing through any closed surface is equal to the total charge enclosed by that surface. That's quite simple. So whatever we saw Faraday's experiment, we can put up in a statement. Okay, but the contribution of Gauss's law is, the contribution of Gauss's law is not for this statement, but he derived the mathematical expression for whatever we have observed this Faraday's experiment. Okay. So now let us imagine a distribution of a charge as a cloud of point charge. Okay. And it has been enclosed or surrounded by a closed surface of a shape as shown in below figure. I have considered a very, you can say like a random shape. Okay. You can consider a, you can consider like a what you can say sphere, you can consider a cube, you can consider a cylindrical surface, whatever it might be. The only fact is you should enclose this charge inside one closed surface. Okay. And that closed surface we have taken of any shape. Okay. Now we know that this q coulomb of charge produces a flux psi equal to q coulombs. Okay. Next, the q coulombs of electric flux will pass through the enclosing surface. Now, whatever this flux produced by this q coulombs of charge will pass through this particular surface. They will pass like this. They will pass through this surface. Okay. Now, at every point on the surface, the electric flux density will have some value ds, that is flux density evaluated at the surface. This subscript s indicates the flux density is evaluated at the surface. So at every point on the surface, the electric flux density will have some value, and ds in general vary in magnitude and direction from one point on the surface to the another point. Okay, because we have not really taken care of the symmetric of the problem. We have taken a very random shape of surface, and obviously the flux lines will not distribute uniformly, and the flux density will not be same at it will not be the same on this particular surface. Okay, if you have taken really care of a symmetry and you have chosen a proper surface, then then surely you will find that the flux line will be uniform and the density will be uniform, or it will be same on the surface. So in general, we say that it vary in magnitude and direction from one point on the surface to the another point. Okay. So now we are interested to find the the total flux crossing this surface in a mathematical way. Okay. So in order to do that, what we say is at any point P, let us consider an incremental element of surface delta S. We consider a small area, incremental area, and let ds make an angle theta with delta S. Okay, and we know that we can define area as a vector, as we discussed in this particular concept of differential elements in the coordinate system. Okay, and we know that for a closed surface, the unit vector normal to the surface is outward. So for this differential area, let us consider this is a unit vector normal to that surface. Okay, and at this point, let it be the flux density. Flux density direction is in this one. So this is the ds. This is a flux density at this point, and this is a unit vector normal to that differential surface. And this particular flux density makes an angle theta with this normal. Okay, as shown in this above figure. Now the flux crossing that delta S, yes, yeah. So now the flux crossing delta S is the product of normal component of delta S into a normal component of ds into delta S. Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Just a minute. Yeah. Yeah. Is it visible? Sorry for interruption. Is it visible? The next page, delta phi equal to flux crossing delta S.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we stopped at this point saying that the flux crossing this differential element area is the product of normal component of ds and the delta s. That is delta uh, phi, sorry, delta psi equal to flux crossing delta s is equal to ds normal into ds. Okay, and we know that we can really find. I mean, this is nothing but finding a projection of ds on this particular vector a n hat. Okay, and which is given as ds cos theta, and you multiply that differential area. That is ds cos theta is the normal component of ds along this unit vector, which we call it as a ds normal, and you multiply with the delta s. You will get the flux crossing that particular small incremental area. And you could recall from dot product, we can write this as ds dot delta s. Okay. Yes. So now we got to know what is a flux crossing, a small incremental area, which is given by an expression like ds dot delta s. What is ds? ds is flux density on the surface. The flux density on the surface. Okay, but we now want the flux crossing this complete area, because according to the statement of a Gauss's law, it says that the electric flux passing through any closed surface is equal to the total charge enclosed by that surface. Okay, so we need to find total flux crossing. It means that we need to add all these incremental flux by those incremental areas. That is, you can divide this complete area into a small incremental areas and try to find what is a flux crossing those incremental areas. Okay, you can divide all those things and find what is flux crossing all those incremental area. But anyway, it should be like a rectangular shape. Okay, so that's what the total flux crossing the closed surface is obtained by adding the differential contribution crossing each surface element delta s. And we can put the whole thing in mathematical, that the flux crossing a closed surface area is a surface integral of d dot ds. Okay, so this symbol indicates it's a surface, it's a closed surface integral. This circle indicates it's a closed surface. Okay, and we have shown a single line. Okay, because even this ds indicates that you are really doing a close, you are doing a surface integral. Okay, from this it is really understood that we are doing a surface integral, and this indicates it's a closed surface integral. Some author used like this, like double integral, to indicate a surface integral. But we can also use single integral with a circle, and it is understood by this, looking to this expression ds, because ds will be it's a product of two differential differential line. Okay. Next, now we can write a mathematical form of Gauss's law. He says that the total flux crossing any closed surface is equal to charge enclosed. And we can, mathematical form of the flux crossing a closed surface is a surface integral. It is a closed surface integral of ds dot ds. Or simply we can also write d dot ds. Okay. Now the charge enclosed inside a closed surface might be a several point charges, that is indicated by q enclosed is summation of q1, and a line charge, it can be also enclosed by a line charge. In that case, we find a total charge is integral of rho L dl. I mean, inside this surface, we can also place a line charge. We can place a point charge. We can place a sum of the point charge, or we can place even we can place a surface charge density also. So we can place a line charge, we can place a surface charge density. The all thing we need to find what is total charge enclosed by this surface. In order to find that, we say that q enclosed is integral of rho L into dl. If it is enclosed by a surface charge, then it is rho s into ds. Okay. If it is a volume, then we say it's an integral of rho v with respect to the dv. And hence we can write a Gauss's law in terms of charge distribution in general as, that is, total flux crossing a closed surface is equal to surface integral of ds dot ds is equal to q enclosed, which is rho v dv. Okay. Yeah, this is what about the Gauss's law. Okay, it's really very simple. You have two things. He says that the total flux crossing, if you are able to count what is total flux crossing a surface, we can tell how much is the charge enclosed inside the surface. Or if you know how much is charge enclosed inside the surface, we can tell how much is a flux crossing that particular closed surface. Okay. Now, inside this closed surface, you can place a point charge, or you can place a sum of the point charge. You can place simply a line charge. Okay. In that case, to find total charge enclosed, we have to find what is total charge on this line enclosed by this closed surface. If it is a surface charge, we need to find what is the total charge on the surface enclosed by this closed surface. Okay. That's one side. Okay, that is one. So based on this, we will discuss two problems. It is a problems on Gauss's law. The first problem is, given the electric flux density. Now you could see they have given the flux density as 0.3 r square AR hat nano coulomb per meter square. Okay, as we discussed last time, the unit of flux density is coulomb per meter square, because it is nothing but flux per unit area. Okay, in a free space, find E at a point R equal to 2, theta equal to 25, and phi equal to 90 degree. That is, the given point is in the spherical coordinate. And the B part is, find the total charge. Find the total charge within a sphere R equal to 3. Next, find the total electric flux leaving the sphere R equal to 4. Okay. So we know that in the previous class we discussed that the relationship between D and E is given by D equal to epsilon naught times E. This is a relationship for a free space, that is free space media. Okay. When it is a dielectric medium, we'll see it later what is the relationship. But right now, for a free space, this is a relationship between D and E. Okay. So we have D with us. We can find E. That is quite simple. That is E equal to D by the epsilon naught. And it leads to 0.3 r square epsilon naught AR hat nano volt per meter, because this is a unit of electric field. It's actually, we can also write the unit of electric field as Newton per coulomb, because it's a force per unit test charge. Okay. And we said that last time while discussing the electric field, we have one more unit dimensionally, which is equivalent to the volt per meter. very often we use the volt per meter as a unit for electric field. Okay. So now we need to find electric field at a given point, that is r equal to 2, theta equal to 25 and phi equal to 90 degree. But you could see that the electric field has dependency on only an r. So we can substitute the given value of r as 2. That is what 2 square is 4. And if you substitute what is epsilon naught, it is 8.854 into 10 raised to minus 12. We will get an electric field at a given point, which is 135.5 AR hat volt per meter. Okay. Yeah. So now the B part is we need to find the total charge within the sphere R equal to 3. Okay. Now to solve this, we need to really apply the Gauss's law, because Gauss's law will help us to find total charge enclosed inside a closed surface. Okay. If you can really find the flux, this is what mathematical form of Gauss's law. We can find the Q enclosed if I can really evaluate this integral. Okay. And to evaluate this integral, we need a ds, and they have given the ds to us. The ds is equal to 0.3 r square AR hat nanocoulomb per meter square. Okay. Yeah. Now I have for a given, for this given problem, for a given r, the electric flux density is constant on spherical surface of a radius r. Because if you see, if I fix the value of r as say 2, say r2 or 3, you will see that the d will become as a constant. Okay. And you could see that even this dot product will simply become a scalar product of ds into ds. Okay. And you could see later we can really take this constant outside and just we have to integrate the surface. Okay. That's really an advantage whenever the flux density becomes a constant. Okay. So the first thing, now we need to find what is the differential area of the spherical surface. So here what comes, the concept which we have learned in the previous class, that is differential element of the spherical surface. So anyone could tell me, how do you find the differential area of a spherical surface? Yes, anyone? If you don't remember at least, the answer, you tell me the, the procedure or the method you obtain the differential area for a given area. What is the first thing we have to identify?
Unit vector.
Very good. We need to identify what is the unit vector normal to the given surface. So anyone could tell me what is the unit vector normal to this given surface? So we are in the spherical coordinate system. We should remember, in a spherical coordinate system, we have 3 surfaces. One is sphere, one is cone, and one more is radial plane. Is it not? So I have taken a sphere. Now what is the unit vector normal to the sphere?
AR hat.
Yes, that's really very good. Yes, that is AR hat. Okay, once this is done, what next thing we have to remember? We should
Writing the magnitude.
Yes, the thing is that we should next remember is differential length in the spherical coordinate system. And we know that the differential length in the spherical coordinate system is dr AR hat plus r d theta a theta hat plus r sin theta d phi a phi hat. Okay. And we know that the differential area of this surface is, we should multiply the magnitude of the differential length. Okay. Differential length except the AR hat. Okay, and you could see it leads to r square sine theta d theta d phi AR hat. And also we know that r will be constant on that particular surface. Yeah, so you could see now this is what we have the area. I mean differential area r square sine theta d phi AR hat, and on that surface r equal to constant. So now you could see d dot ds, it's 0.3 r square AR hat dot r square sine theta d phi, and it's a nano, so I have placed the nano as it is, ARN. And we know that AR hat dot AR hat will be 1, and after simplifying it will be 0.3 r is to 4 sine theta d phi. And we know that we need to evaluate this surface integral on the surface of a sphere of a radius r equal to 3. Okay, and hence r equal to 3. As we predicted, r should be constant, and the value of the constant is r equal to 3. Okay, and you could see that it leads to this after substitution of r. And as I was telling that the d is really a function of r alone, and for a given r the flux density will be constant, and you could see that is what we can observe. It's 0.3 r square. When you substitute r equal to 3, 0.3 into 3 square will be constant. Okay, so combining in total, you could see we can take the whole thing constant outside, and we are left out only with this. And if you really integrate this, okay, it leads to a 4 pi, and hence the total flux leaving that closed surface of a sphere r equal to 3 is 305 nanocoulomb, and charge enclosed in that surface of a sphere r equal to 3 is equal to 305 nanocoulomb. Okay, yeah. Now if you really observe, that is, if I take r square 0.3 r square as an outside, and if I leave one more r square inside the integral, okay, and anyway r is constant 3 square, this is, it is the term r square inside the integral is nothing but the surface area of a sphere, is a surface area of sphere. And we know that the surface area of a sphere is nothing but 4 pi r square. 4 pi r square. Okay. I mean, what I'm trying to tell is, even we can really avoid all this integration and everything by observing only one thing. We know that the first d is really constant for a given r, so the dot product becomes a scalar product of ds into ds, and the ds will be constant, and you can write that whole integration as ds into surface integral of a ds. That is nothing but, this is nothing but a surface area of a sphere, and just you can multiply this ds with the surface area to obtain the final answer. You can really follow this method, or you can follow the one more method, whatever I said just now. Okay, this is true whenever the ds is constant on a given surface, or else we can't do that. Okay, yeah, that is what I said in note. If d is constant on a given surface, we can say that the flux is magnitude of d into the, you should multiply that with the surface area. And the same thing will also try to apply for the C part. Now you could see that what is the C part. The B part we have found charge enclosed. In the C part, they are asking what is the total flux leaving a sphere of a r equal to 4. Okay, and hence I say that the flux leaving a sphere of a surface. The flux leaving a sphere of radius r equal to 4 is nothing but 0.3 into 4 square. This is the ds, and this is the surface area of the sphere, 4 pi r square. So if you and this is a nano because it's given that D is nano coulomb per meter square, and hence we can compute that the flux is 965 nano coulomb. Okay, and this is also equal to charge enclosed inside the sphere of a radius r equal to 4. That's all. So is that clear about the Gauss law and the first problem? Any doubts? Yes? Yes?
Explain the second one again.
Uh, Pardon? Can you repeat, Ankita, what you said?
Um,
I'm not audible to you. I mean, I'm not audible. Yes?
from B part, sir.
Sorry.
The first problem B part.
Yeah, first problem we found.
B part, sir.
D phi.
B part.
Sorry.
So second line, sir, in that.
Okay, I mean the B part.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What happened?
Can you explain it again?
Okay, can I explain once again? Okay, sure. Yeah. So the second question was, we need to find what is total charge enclosed by a surface of a sphere. It is a spherical surface of a radius r equal to 3. That's what. What is total charge and what is total charge within the sphere of a radius r equal to 3? Okay. So now here is the situation. So we have the sphere of a radius r equal to 3. Okay, and we don't know what is charge configuration sitting inside this producing a flux. But what information we have is, we know what is a flux density on this surface, and it is given by D equal to 0.3 r square AR hat. Okay, is this point is clear? They have given a sphere of a radius r equal to 3, and we know what is a flux density on this particular surface, and it is given by 0.3 r square AR hat. Okay, and in order to find charge enclosed, I can use the Gauss's law. Gauss's law said that the flux leaving this closed surface, is equal to surface integral of d dot ds, or you can take it as ds dot ds, equal to charge enclosed. So now you could see that I have the information about this ds. So I can perform the surface integral to find the flux, and that same will be equal to charge enclosed. Okay. So now if I go by simply looking mathematics, so what I need to do is, I need to find the differential area of the sphere. We can find a differential area of the sphere. Okay, and just now I told how to find the differential area of the spherical surface. It is given by this, that is r square sine theta d phi AR hat, and on this particular spherical surface r will be constant. And you could see that's what I did. Okay, I followed the mathematics. I did d dot ds. It leads to this, and we know that r equal to 3 on this particular surface, and it leads to this one. And now I can perform the double integral of this term, and you could see this. First I'll remove the constant outside, and I left out with this one. Okay, and if you perform this integration, it leads to it leads to the 4 pi. Okay, so and it leads to the flux as 305 nanocoulomb, and that is itself is equal to the charge enclosed. Okay, so you could see I've just followed the mathematics whatever I have. I said there is one more easy way to go. Okay, if the flux density is constant on that surface, and we observe that for given problem the flux density is constant on spherical surface, because you could see for r equal to 3 it is 0.3 into 3 square. Okay, AR hat nanocoulomb per meter square. It means that the flux density is constant on the surface or on the spherical surface. Okay, if that is the case, you could see that the d dot ds will simply a dot it will be simply a scalar product of ds, that's the quite ds into ds. Okay, and this is anyway constant, we can take it out. Okay, and we need to integrate this term ds. Okay, and we know that the ds is nothing but the differential area of a spherical surface, and if we integrate complete for a closed surface, this will lead to an area of a sphere, surface area of a sphere. And that is what I try to tell here. Okay, and this trick you can really apply whenever the flux density is constant on that particular surface. Okay, so the B part I did with the complete procedure, whereas the C part was a very similar problem. They told find the total electric flux leaving a sphere of a radius r equal to 4. It's the same thing, exactly same thing we have to do. And I told that let us try to use the shortcut technique. That is, if ds is constant on a given surface, you can find a flux as magnitude of d into the magnitude of the surface area of that particular surface. And that is what it leads to that. Okay, is that clear now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so now let us continue with the one more quite interesting problem. Okay, calculate the total electric flux leaving cubical surface formed by 6 planes x comma y comma z, and each of these x y z values are plus or minus 5. Okay, if the charge distribution is, okay, first one, 2-point charges 0.1 microcoulomb at 1 comma minus 2 comma 3, and one more is 1/7 microcoulomb located at minus 1 comma 2 comma minus 2. Okay, so let us try to do the problem one by one. We'll do A part. So what he's telling is he has given the closed surface, and now the closed surface is a cubical surface. It's a cubical surface formed by the 6 planes. That is, one is x equal to 5. Okay, this is what the the front face is x equal to 5, the back face is x equal to minus 5. So this side surface is y equal to minus 5, and this side surface is y equal to 5, and top surface is z equal to 5, and bottom surface is z equal to minus 5. Okay, and let us see where the charge is located. The charge is located is 1 comma minus 2 comma 3. So where I have shown, you could see as 1 comma 2 comma 1 comma minus 2 comma 3, 1 comma 1 along x minus 2 along minus y, and 3 along the z, that is q1. And similarly q2 is minus 1 comma 2 comma minus 2. So 1 along negative x, 2 minus 3. Okay, sorry, minus 2. That is what we have a q2 here and q1 here. Okay, so now the question is to find electric flux leaving the cubical surface. The first charge distribution we have is 2-point charges located at these 2 points. So anyone could tell me what will be the flux leaving this closed cubical surface because of these 2-point charges? You can just recall what is Gauss's law says. Gauss's law says the flux leaving a closed surface is surface integral of closed surface integral of d dot ds is equal to q enclosed. Okay. You could see in this problem we need to find a flux, and you could see we have an information of q enclosed. Okay. Now the only thing is we need to find, okay, now what is the total charge enclosed inside this cubical surface formed by these planes x, y, z equal to plus or minus 5. So now anyone could find what is the total flux leaving this cubical surface? Yeah, I'll try to ask you the question like this. I have a cube, okay, and inside this cube I'm placing two charge. One is q1 equal to 1 coulomb and q2 equal to 2 coulomb. Okay, so tell me what is total charge enclosed inside this cubical surface? Yes, what is total charge enclosed? Yes, anyone? What is total charge enclosed inside this cubical surface? Enclosed means how much charge you have inside that cubical surface. Yes? Yes, anyone? I think it's quite easy,
Q1
right?
plus Q2.
Yes, that's all. So the Q enclosed is Q1 plus Q2, that is 2 plus 1, 3 coulomb. Yes, are you, are you following this point? Yeah. Now I'll ask you the next question is, what is the total flux leaving this cubical surface now?
3 coulombs.
Yes, exactly. Because we know how much charge is present inside the cube and we found the 3 coulomb. And according to Gauss's law, it should be equal to flux leaving this cubical surface equal to charge enclosed, which is 3 coulomb. Is that clear this point? Okay. Now you have the same scenario. Now you have the same scenario, that is you have cubical surface formed by this x comma y comma z, x comma y comma z equal to plus or minus 5, and charges are distributed at these 2 points. So now tell me what is the flux leaving in this cubical surface?
Q1 plus Q.
Yes, that's very good. You could see that you can, by looking to these locations, that is 1 comma minus 2 comma 3, and one more is minus 1 comma 2 comma minus 2. By looking to these locations, we know that these two charges are inside this surface formed by these planes. And hence, I say that the flux leaving the cubical surface is Q1 plus Q2, which is sum of these two charges, which leads to 0.243 microcoulomb. Is this point is clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, for this, for this scenario, I'll ask one question. There is one more charge, okay, sitting here, which is outside the cubical surface of 10 coulomb. And I ask you question, what is the flux leaving this cubical surface? Now, what is the answer?
Only the charges present in the cube.
Yeah, how much is it? Is it 10 plus 3 or only 3 coulomb?
3 coulomb.
Yes, exactly.
3 coulomb.
Yes, exactly. It is 3 coulomb because because if you want to find a flux leaving a surface, okay, we should find charge inside that closed surface. Okay, we should not count the charge which is outside that surface. Okay, and in this problem, okay, for this given closed cubical surface, these 2 point charges were inside that, and that we confirm by looking to this coordinates 1 comma minus 2 comma 3, and one more is minus 1 comma 2 comma minus 2. All these two, I mean, these 2 points are inside this cubical surface, and hence we say that it's a sum of these two charges. Is that clear? Okay. So now let us try to answer for the B part. The B part is a uniform line charge. Okay, a uniform line charge of pi microcoulomb per meter at x equal to minus 2 comma y equal to 3. Okay. Now I'll ask few questions on this. First of all, tell me this line charge is parallel to which axis? Yes? Anyone? Now, how do you locate this line charge? So you could see that I should go x equal to minus 2, that is on the negative x, and go y equal to 3. And this is the point. Okay, this information is a point on the line axis. Okay. Yeah. Anyone now can tell me the line charge is parallel to which axis?
Y-axis.
No.
Z-axis.
Yes, it is actually parallel to the z-axis. Okay. Yeah, and you could see that on this line, which is parallel to z-axis, the value of x and y will be constant, and the only variable is what? Z. Okay. Yes. Now tell me, this line charge, is it, I mean, inside the cube or it is outside the cube? First question is.
Inside the cube.
Yes, that's very good. It is inside the cube. Okay. And they have given the line charge as actually an infinite line charge. Okay. And in order to find the Q enclosed, I want to find what is the total charge, okay, which is, which is trapped or which is enclosed inside this cubical surface. Okay. This is actually an infinite line charge. Okay. In order to find a flux leaving that closed surface, I need to find Q enclosed. Okay. And my next question is, I want to find what is total charge, okay, which is enclosed inside the closed surface. So anyone tell me, how do you find that Q enclosed now? Yeah. So can you recall, if you know what is a line charge density, how do you find total charge on that line of, I'll say, length L? Quite simple. Okay. I have a line charge. Okay. And I want to find a total charge on this line of a length L. And you know what is the rho L, that is charge density. If you know this, how do you find total charge on the line? Yes, it's quite simple. They have given, I mean, what do you mean by rho L? Rho L is line charge density, that is charge per unit length. You know what is charge per unit length, which is pi microcoulomb per meter. And I'm asking what is total charge on a length of L?
Royal into L.
Yes, very good. It is rho L into the L. Yeah. Do you agree this? It's rho L into L. That's fine. Okay. Now my question is, what should be this L so that I can find total charge enclosed inside that cubical surface? And that you should guess it by looking to this coordinates. The height is decided by which coordinate? I mean, the height above the XY plane, above and below, is decided by which coordinate? It is Z, yes or no? It is Z because I said that line is parallel to the Z axis. Okay. So now tell me what is the total value of a Z in this closed surface?
10.
10. That's very good because plus 5 above, it is minus 5 below. Total length will be 10. Okay, so now what is that final thing? The answer Q enclosed inside the closed surface is rho L into 10. That's all. So that is what is being shown. Okay. The first thing we found that the line charge is inside the cubical surface, and we need to find what portion of a length of a line charge inside a cubical surface. Okay. And we found that it is at 10 meters, and hence total charge enclosed is rho L into L, which is rho L into 10. And that is what we had here, rho L into 10. That leads to 31.4 microcoulomb. Okay. Yeah. Is that this point is clear? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now we could go for the third part. The third part is really quite simple, but they have not given the information straightforward as it is really given in the first two part. It has been, I could say, it is being encoded, and just we need to a little decode that to understand. Now, what it says that uniform sheet charge of 0.1 microcoulomb per meter square. They have given the surface charge. So now we have a surface charge. Okay. Uniform sheet charge of 0.1 microcoulomb per meter square on a plane y equal to 3x. So they are not given straightforward. Say if they have given a plane z equal to phi something like this, then this problem would have been quite simple. We could have found what is the area of this plane z equal to phi, and we could have multiplied with the rho s, and we could have find out what is total charge enclosed. But instead they have given a plane y equal to 3x. It's actually equation of a line. Okay, so anyway, it's our time up. So we'll conclude this class over here. Okay, and we'll try to summarize what we have seen today. So we have seen what is a Gauss's law, and we have seen problems on Gauss's law. Okay, and you could see these two concepts requires understanding, and hence it comes under the Bloom's taxonomy label L2. Okay, and you can try to follow this link. I mean, for the more details on this course. Okay, so we'll conclude this class here. So I'll download the attendance. Okay. So thank you very much for joining today's class.